there's some exciting news that came from Zenfin, and it's actually straight from Zenfin. Check this out. Goes into detail about this. It says exciting news. SBI Holdings. Remember when we did that deep dive about SBI Holdings? There was a video about, it says JASMY, XDC, and it even said QNT, right? And it was this whole big thing about SBI Japan. Well, look what's mentioned here. SBI Holdings and TradeFinex join forces, of course, for this XDC network expansion. I'm going to give you some of that new news. Then we're going to get into a particular piece from Cyprus Domenicore that I think is worth paying attention to. I know a lot of you guys follow him. Great content creator. In my opinion, one of the best out there. SBI Holdings have officially inked a basic agreement with TradeFinex Tech, the driving force behind who? XDC. That's why we point that out, and we'll get more into that here in a bit. SBI XDC Network, APAC, of course, Limited, will have a primary focus on expanding the reach of the XDC network. Listen to this, guys. His aim is to promote the adoption, and this is why I want to bring it to you guys, right? The adoption of XDC in various applications. And I love this because we've been talking about tokenization. I think we've been talking about tokenization for probably at least a good couple of weeks. A lot of focus on tokenization. You know where I'm going with this, right? So, you know, this morning's deep dive, of course, on the live, you guys always get the news coverage first. That's one of the benefits, by the way. If you guys didn't know this, if you're newcomers, you watch it on live, you get it first, and then later on, everybody gets the chopped up version, right? But QNT tokenization. What about XDC tokenization? So some key things here mentioned. Adoption of these various applications. We know that XDC has a robust ecosystem. And the key thing, guys, is the way I looked at it was, you know, like I said earlier, by the end of 2023, very solid utility projects, dApps are going to stand out, right? There's still money to be made in 2023. It's not going to be life-changing wealth depending on what project you're into and so on. There's still money to be made. And if anything, pay attention to dApps. We talked about Stellar earlier, but what about XDC? So it says this includes tokenization, trade finance, payments, and enterprise subnets. Let's jump into the next part of what we have. And of course, this was the original posting from Zenfin. Now, this is something I pulled up on my own in regards to this thing from SBI Group. This newly established venture, because this is what was mentioned in this particular, I think it's a PDF. But yeah, this newly established joint venture will localize XDC network related information in Japan. Now, yeah, listen to this. It's going to provide support to crypto asset exchange companies that wish to handle XDC. It's going to expand partnerships with Subnet Layer 2, interesting companies, and provide a wide range of innovative solutions on the XDC network by deploying trade finance solutions provided, of course, by XDC Trade Network. And this is, of course, going to happen in also the APAC region. Now, one of the key things that also is worth mentioning is what you see on this bottom part. So for one, it says by having these whole things of channeling transactions to Subnet Layer 2, conducting transactions on Subnet Layer 2 from the beginning, it is possible to record transactions, of course, on Layer 1 by reducing the load on the network. And it goes on to mention of this outline in regards to this joint venture that was planned. If anything, you see this update. So it's all written here, but the key thing is look how much capital that they put up, 300 million yen. Of course, that's less compared to US dollars, but the investment ratio is that SBI holds 60%, TradeFinex holds 40%. Now, getting more into this, I want to share this because if anything, again, look at this for a second. So I'm going to pull up this piece from Binance. Check this out. If you're wondering, did Binance decide to post anything about this? Because we are obviously talking about Binance Japan. Is there anything solid that they're going to do here soon? Yes. So they did reference this, okay? And I think that's worth pointing out. So Binance Japan basically says that this partnership comes at a time when Japan is showing increased openness to blockchain tech and, of course, cryptocurrencies. Recent reports indicate that the Japanese government is considering allowing startups to raise funds through cryptocurrency tokens. Now think about this. We could just dream of this here in the United States. This pounds home, right? Just like King Kong, like I always point out. By the way, hopefully you guys like that JASMY thumbnail of King Kong. But this pounds it home where Japan is already there and the United States isn't yet. This is why I keep saying over and over and over again, you already have regulatory framework in Japan. You have it in the form of DFFT, data free flow with trust. Now that has been, taken over to Europe, it's still a big deal. But when it comes to the whole notion of, okay, Japan gets it. They already embraced the tech. So what's the next step? Boom, here's the next step. And it is referenced from Binance, literally, right? Especially Binance Japan. Funds through cryptocurrency tokens, a departure from what traditional stock listings. So again, and especially if you're watching the chopped up version at some point, this pounds it home of this whole notion, even with what Larry Fink was talking about in that BlackRock interview of tokenization, because you are going to see this shift. Because again, at the beginning of the show, we were talking about this going to this new monetary system. But if anything, how can crypto finally differentiate itself or separate itself from stocks? Because stocks are already volatile. Why jump into a whole new thing that is just basic, because that's a legitimate thing. People state, why should I get into crypto when it's just as volatile as stocks? You know what I mean? And it's just like, well, different tech. And they say, well, but currently speaking, Max, it's like, it still feels like they move like how like how stocks move. And I'm like, yeah, that is technically true. Also depends on, of course, what you're invested in and so on. But do we finally get to the point where, this thesis, if you will, of the utility run, right? Where not like Cool Cat said, 99.99% of all this stuff goes away in regards to most crypto, and only the select few, the winners, if you will, stick around. Yes. At the same time, if that happens, then you're already at the point where you have the solid utility. It can't be volatile, so on and so forth. But is Japan already there? To me, this outlines basically what we've been talking about for many, many months, or at least since probably late. I don't know about many, many months, but I guess you could say we're being. Oh my God, it's hard to believe that we're in October. So yeah, basically about a year talking about this whole notion of, Japan gets it. They're already there. So additionally, like I said, Japan's Financial Services Agency is contemplating changes to its cryptocurrency related tax code. Again, that's another step. We talked about that enough times to kind of talk your ear off about tax incentives, right? Signaling a more proactive regulatory stance. Now, let's get into the part of what Cyprus Demand Core has here. I want to share this with you. This is good stuff, especially if you hold the XDC token. Cyprus mentions that European Union's adoption of blockchain-backed credit funds and securitization is a game changer, because at the end of the day, all of what we're talking about in regards to these updates, in my opinion, are game changers. He talks about, for instance, credit funds and securitization, is a game changer. Powered by DPoS from the XDC network, redefines trade finance and supply chain efficiency. This breakthrough is pivotal for Securities' success. Now, you may be wondering, like, I don't know all of this and so on. I want to jump down to this bottom part real quick. And it goes on to mention that, you have this whole thing about these nodes. But one thing is, what's this part real quick? I'm sorry, it's right in the middle. It says, and I know this might be hard for you to see, so I think I'm going to blow this up. All right, this is blown up. Let's see here. Yeah. It says blockchain. Hopefully you see on the screen. Can you see it real quick? Yeah, I've blown up a lot, right? So I'll come out of the screen just to make it that much bigger for guys like Boomer F and Sooner on his couch. Why do you always reference my couch, Max? Well, because I've seen pictures of you on your couch. You're taking screenshots. So it states blockchain, or in other words, listen to this, guys, Distributed ledger technology is blockchain, or in other words, a series of data and information entries. I mean, so most of us, we know this, but it says in a registry ledger involving specific transactions which are part of a block. Transactions are verified using cryptographic, I'm probably not butchering that up right now, methods, and more specifically by solving a demanding computational problem, a puzzle. Once the capacity of one block is exhausted, the next block is immediately used, creating, of course, continuous chain of entries. For example, blockchain, right? We know about this stuff. But it states, according to what's posted here, the main difference between a blockchain and the existing transaction information storage structures is that there is not a central authority. Now listen to this for a second, because you want to see the point behind this. We're going to get to that. So usually bank, for instance, that verifies all transactions. But the verification is done decentralized by the so-called nodes. That is, users who have installed the necessary software and participate in this blockchain. When a transaction is made, basically, all users simultaneously and anonymously confirm this information. Inform the registry of the changes and store a copy of the registry on the computer. That is why we say that the registry is not only decentralized, but also distributed to different users. For example, in a bank transaction, the bank confirms the transaction between two parties, while through, for example, blockchain, the transaction is verified by all users by storing the information in a block. And I know this is all verbatim, but I'm trying to make a point, and I don't want to skip certain things here. So, yes, the information in the block, verifying the registry, and saving the registry by all users anonymously using specific key codes. Confidence in transactions regarding the correctness of information is achieved through the agreement of two or more users, and the reliability of this quote-unquote blockchain increases with the participation of more users in it. When a large number of transactions are certified and the block capacity runs out, it is added to the chain with the other blocks. The verification of transactions and the addition of the new block is done through the resolution of complex mathematical puzzles undertaken by the miners of the blockchain, hence why we talk about proof of work, who use powerful computers. The miners can be users at the same time. Miners do not add to the block, to the chain, without any benefit. And of course, this is why we're going to get into some of the key things here. So I want to share this with you, and it's on this next particular page, again, from Cyprus Domanicore. It states this right here that was cited, and if you wonder where did that come from, it comes from this European Banking Institute. It says EBI working paper from 2023. It's called Securitization in the Era of Blockchain, Credit Funds, CLOs, Tokenization. Let me blow it up just a little bit more for you guys, just in case you didn't see it on your screen. And I know I'm not out of the frame. It doesn't matter. You need to pay attention to this and not my mug. So here it is in regards to that. It's available at ssm.com/abstract, so on and so forth for the electronic copy. But you do cite it or see it from the date of September 13th. Again, guys, why are we talking about this? Credit funds, tokenization, right? Question of the investor protection and financial stability. I'm literally thinking of like what we were just talking about not that long ago in regards to BlackRock and Aladdin. I know this is a XDC segment, but again, if you didn't see the whole thing from Q&T, tie that into this as well. Getting more into this from Cyprus Domanicore, I want to share this as well. Let's blow this up as well. Excuse me. I'll put up on the other screen to make it that much more bigger. Here we go. Straight from this again, right? Circularity finance. Look what's mentioned here, guys. This is important stuff. We got to pay attention to this. Look what it says here. EBI, European Banking Institute Working Paper Series, Prometheus. I've seen a lot of researchers talk about Prometheus. Securitization in the era of what? Blockchain, credit funds. And again, tokenization, CLOs, and the question of investor protection and financial stability. So we're always talking about when we get clarity, do we finally have who the BlackRocks of the world and so on? Yeah, it's got to have a high stable price. Again, guys, this is the main reason why we point some of this out. Credit funds and securitization products are becoming increasingly popular in, of course, the European Union markets, can offer alternative financing sources. A new paper analyzes the complex interaction of these products and the added benefits and risk of using, of course, blockchain tech. The paper provides an in-depth analysis of credit funds, including size, number, and lending strategies, as well as assessing the risk involved. The securitization mechanism and its products are also covered, along with the tranching concept of, I'm getting ahead of myself sometimes. Sometimes I read so fast I get ahead of myself. Tranching concept and differences between credit funds and securitization, vehicles. I've been reading too much today. The paper concludes with an exploration of pertinent, lending and products such as collateralization. I'm reading too much today. My God, I'll stop. As collateralized loan obligations, this word I can't even pronounce, and corporate bonds. All right, now let me go further down to this. Look what's highlighted. Thank you to Cyprus. Plain as day, XDC network built on XDC, right? And then, of course, all the hashtags, I call pound signs, real world assets, tokenization, decentralization, DLT, even shows like data, AI, IoT, all this stuff, financial services. Big, big deal to say the least. Getting more into this, let's jump to the next particular page. Here's one of the other key highlights, and I know I'm out of the frame, but the emphasis shouldn't be on my noggin. It should be on the screen, the research. A revolutionary trade finance ecosystem on XDC, reported from June 18th from Circularity Finance. Again, you love researchers like Cyprus because he takes the extra time to make us aware about certain things that we just maybe like weren't aware of or didn't see. Goes on to state right here that blockchain consensus mechanisms, of course, like Ethereum's proof of stake or delegated proof of stake, play a crucial role in determining the speed, security, scalability of a network. While both have their strengths, this comprehensive article focuses on the advantages offered by DPoS, again, delegated proof of stake, how it surpasses Ethereum's proof of stake, and its own integration with the XDC network and Circularity Finance universal, guys, listen to this, tokenization engine to redefine the landscape of trade finance and supply chain management. This is why the whole notion of, and I'll come back in the frame on this one, where this whole notion that does XDC stand out in regards to trade, and if anything, what about now tokenization of trade, right? That can't be volatile either, especially if, institutional investors are going to get into this sector as well, and you better believe that they are. Now, I will read this comment on the right side, not the comments on the live show. I'm going to get into that in a second. This guy brought up a good point. This guy's name is Vibe Tribe. He asks Cyprus, or made a statement. He says, some individuals are saying that ETHgate, listen to this, because you guys do point this out from time to time, not all the time, but you do, that ETHgate could prevent the XDC token from ever becoming a prominent coin. So let's answer this. Let's address it before somebody, of course, from the comments of when this gets chopped up, you're going to ask it anyway at some point. I know that's going to happen. He said, what's your calculated response to that, Cyprus? And I think this is a great statement from Cyprus. He states that his calculated response is that if it was to be the case, this would then solidify, of course, his mentoring the importance of diversification and not making or marrying one project or digital asset, sticking all your eggs in one basket. Again, even for myself, right? Like I'm diversified in many different projects, right? But he says not all coins will survive. Just, that's logic. Diversification is key. Risk management is key. Don't invest money that you're not willing to lose. Right. That's the whole bottom line. There's a lot of coulda, woulda, shouldas. There's also possibilities of, this could happen, that can happen. I don't necessarily think that, this crazy possibility is going to happen. I'm sticking to my guns when it comes to XDC. But he does have a great statement here. Don't invest money you aren't willing to lose. Right, we know that. Then it won't really matter what people say. Bottom line is the small percentage of the population on social media covering XDC won't be the ones who control if the price goes up or down. Right, this whole notion that I'm a content creator, he's a content creator, or somebody else that might have, I don't know, 1 million plus following. I don't know if a person does have that in regards to XDC. There's some other guys out there that are way up there over 200,000 I know of. But they can't thread the needle. What threads the needle is actually what? Utility in motion. And I'm always going to state that time and time again, it's utility in motion. Take what was presented to you tonight in regards to some of these key findings and basically come to your own conclusion about that, right? That's the bottom line.